Asenath was the wife of Joseph, the governor of Egypt. According to the biblical text, Asenath was the daughter of Power, priest of the city of in Egypt. In this video, you will know the story of Asenath in the Bible. Because it is mentioned rarely in the Bible, there is not much information about the history of Asenath. The name Asenath has Egyptian derivation and its meaning is belonging to the goddess Night. His name obviously indicates Asenath's creation in the midst of paganism as the daughter of an Egyptian priest. In the Egyptian pantheon, Night, the goddess associated with the name Asenath, was the goddess of war and hunting. In addition, Neith was also known as a type of creative and inventor who was also associated with the protection of the dead. In Egyptian belief, Neith was the creator of gods and men, and supposedly the inventor of the fabric. Usually, this goddess was represented by the figure of a woman, but as the cult of Night in Egypt dating back to the pre-dynastic period, she has also been represented in other ways such as scarab, owl, cow, among others. About Asenath's life, all that is known is that she was the daughter of an Egyptian priest. The name of Asenath's father, Hor, refers to the god Ra, as it means the gift of Ra. Ra was the sun god in ancient Egypt, and over time became one of the main Egyptian deities. As a priest's daughter, Asenath then belonged to the highest social class in Egypt, for the priests were representatives of Pharaoh. Even usually the children of the Egyptian priests also became priests. However, in ancient Egypt it was very rare for a woman to exercise the priesthood, although apparently something possible. Anyway, nothing is said in the biblical text that indicates that Asenath also exercised the priesthood. Since Asenath's father was a priest in the temple of the city of maybe Asenath was from this city? Was the center of the solar religion, and it was the same city that the Greeks called Heliopolis, and that it is about 10 kilometers from the modern city of Cairo. Therefore, Asenath's father was a high priest of the most prominent in ancient Egypt. Zenasha is mentioned in the Bible because of his union with Joseph, the son of Jacob. And the marriage between Zenasha and Joseph occurred in the context in which he gave the interpretation of Pharaoh's dreams, and was made by him governor to lead the land in the confrontation of the approaching major crisis period. Even the biblical text says that Pharaoh gave Joseph the name Zaphanatipameah, whose exact meaning is uncertain. Then the text also says that Pharaoh was the one who gave Asenath for his wife to Joseph. But there is no detail about why or how Asenath was chosen by Pharaoh to be given as his wife to Joseph. At that time, Joseph had about 30 years, as we read in Genesis 46. And unless biblical records omitted other Joseph weddings, he had only Asenath as his wife. The Bible also says that during the years of abundance in Egypt, Asenath gave birth to Joseph's 2 sons. The firstborn son of Joseph and Asenath was called Manasseh, which means the one who forgets. Joseph himself explained the meaning of the name of his first child when he declared, "God made me forget all my work and the whole house of my father." The second son of Joseph and Asenath received the name Ephraim. The meaning of this name conveys the sense of being prosperous. And once again, Joseph also explained the meaning of that name in his statement, "God made me prosperous in the land of my affliction." The 2 sons of Asenath became ancestors of tribes in Israel, as Jacob ended up giving a double portion of his blessing to Joseph. Although Ephraim was Joseph's youngest son, he received the main blessing instead of his brother Manasseh. At the moment of the blessing, Joseph even tried to make Jacob give the main blessing to Manasseh, the eldest son. But Jacob explained to him that although Manasseh would become a large people, Ephraim's offspring would be even greater and more important to him. And in fact, Jacob's prediction was confirmed following the biblical history. For the tribe of Ephraim became very prominent, becoming the most emblematic among the northern tribes. And finally, nothing more is known about the history of Asenath. The Bible does not bring any information about her death, but it is certain that she lived her entire life in Egypt. Undoubtedly, the information that a Hebrew, son of Jacob, grandson of Isaac and great-grandson of Abraham, belonging to the covenant lineage, married a woman who was the daughter of one of the most important priests of the Egyptian religion of that time, is something that catches the eye. And one of the best-known legends in this regard, it suggests that Asenath allegedly resigned from her pagan religion when she married Joseph and eventually adopted the worship of the God of Israel. In fact, we know that Joseph's immediate influence on Egypt was very large, and it would not be strange that this influence has somehow impacted the religious life of some people, especially that of his wife. But anyway, there is no way to affirm anything accurately in this regard. And to conclude, we can end by talking about the mysterious apocryphal book entitled Hosea and Asenath. The apocryphal work, Hosea and Asenath, brings a romantic and somewhat fanciful story about how Hosea and Asenath met and were together. This apocryphal work is of unknown authorship and perhaps was written in Alexandria between the 1st century before Christ and the 1st century after Christ. The content of the work can be divided into two main parts. In the first part, Hosea and Asenath's novel is described with details of a typical love story that mixes elements of rejection, regret, and passion, and that there was some reluctance of the two parts to start the novel. However, in a context of miraculous events, both Joseph and Asenath accepted each other, and Asenath ended up converted to Joseph's God. In the second part of the book, Joseph's marriage and Asenath faces a challenge. Supposedly, Pharaoh's son wished to stay with Asenath, and for that he tried to kill Joseph. And in an attempt to succeed in his plan, Pharaoh's son tried to recruit even Joseph's brothers to help him. But the narrative ends with Pharaoh and his dead son and Joseph assuming the throne of Egypt, surprisingly. But despite the specific details, this work is just a fictional narrative produced in the context of the Jewish diaspora in the Hellenized world. It is possible that its author wanted to address important topics of this context, such as the issue of mixed marriages. But from anyway, the legend never reproduced by this work must be equated with the reliability of the biblical text. In fact, the only really consistent and reliable information about Asenath's life is that recorded in the Bible. And if you liked this video, leave your comment telling you if you already knew the story of Asenath and also share this video with someone else.